I didn't know Roger was funny until today. You miss a lot in 30 years. So I was invited to two events, a Hezbollah meeting and y'all. I'm glad I picked y'all. It seems to have turned out better for all of us. So most of you have, I think all of you have gone to lead very successful lives. 30 years later, you have a lot to be proud of. Me and Roger took a different path. We went to the Senate. And the difference between the House and the Senate is fast and slow. So if I can do what my predecessor did, I'll be at the 60th anniversary of the contract with America. I have 31 more years to serve, and I will miss you all. So I've literally grown in office about 25 pounds worth. I don't know if there's a doctor in the house, but you may need one here in a minute. Good. Newt, 30 years later, you were right, I was wrong. 30 years later, when they write the history of the Republican Party, you will be on our version of Mount Rushmore. I have learned a lot in the last 30 years. Number one, managing people like me is an impossible task. And you did it well. You made winners out of losers. You wrote down things that made sense, and we stood behind them no matter where you're from. No matter how you talk, no matter what accent you had or not have one at all, didn't have one at all. We all agreed on these things. 30 years later, I read the contract with America today. It's the first time I ever read it. It's very good. I should have read it back then. I'm not joking. I've never read the damn thing, yeah. We should have done it. Well, I think we did all those things, yeah. So I just want to let you know from my point of view that what you did, having been in politics all these years was amazing. Unifying people. Getting everybody to talk about the same thing in an effective way and winning an election. 30 years later, we have a Republican Speaker of the House. Something worked. Poor bastard, I love him, but I tell you, that's the hardest job in America right now, is leading politicians. And you are able to find a way to give us something to talk about, whether you're Joe Scarborough or Lindsey Graham, that we were for. You know, it's so easy to talk about why the other person sucks. Eventually, you need to tell people what you're for. And I think we could learn a lot in today's political discourse about the contract with America, that Republicans, after we get through reminding people how bad things are, we need to talk about how good they could be. And I want to do more of that, don't y'all? Speaking of Trump, if you want a replica of the contract with America gavel, is on his website. You can buy it. He'll sign it. So, if I wrote a book, it'd be called My Journey from a Wacko to a Rhino. I don't know how I got here either. We used to be crazy. Crazy has changed. We weren't crazy at all, and I'm sure the people today are being called crazy are really not. It was crazy at the time to think you could change things. We actually believed it and knew you convinced me we could. And when we didn't do it fast enough, I got mad, and now I understand maybe you did the best you could with the hand you were dealt. That's what I've learned over 30 years. But having people believe in something is being lost. I mean, when I came here and met all my fellow members of the class, I felt like, well, maybe I'm not alone. It is the best feeling I've had in politics to this day, to be around people from different places that believed in the same thing. And we formed deep, lasting friendships, not because of what we were against, but what we were for. And I miss that. I miss it deeply. And somehow I hope we can recapture it. I can't believe I'm standing here. Well, good. I'm just glad to be standing up 30 years later. But the journey I've taken, and many of you, is the American dream. I was born to parents who neither one of them graduated high school, grew up in the back of a liquor store, and family owned the pool room, and I learned everything I need to know about foreign policy in the pool room. If somebody wants to cut your throat, don't buy them a knife. So it's been a hell of a journey for me. It's been a hell of a journey for us. And I'll end with this. We're having an election really soon. And there's an unwritten contract that we need to talk more about. Our friends on the other side, if they get power, they're going to change the country. They're going to make the Supreme Court 13, not 9. They're going to make D.C. and Puerto Rico states. They're going to change the way we do our elections from state to federal. They would change the filibuster if they could. So the change that we're talking about today is scary to me. The institutions that have served us well are under siege. If there was ever an election that we had to win, it is this election. God bless you all.